Bob, you're only just heading home now? Yeah, I understand Mr. Carlin had extra problems he needed to talk to you about. And then Jerry kept you in the dental chair for that the whole time, telling you about his problems. Oh my gosh. And then Bernie Tupperman, he had an accident in the office. I mean, he's a grown-up. Shouldn't he have better control over that? Oh gosh. Well, you know what? Get on that late train and hold on to your hat and get home as soon as you can, because I get to start the NewNow now. Yeah, I'm going to have to start without you. All right. Okay. See you soon. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 47th episode of Living Figuratively with your host, me, Judy. Tonight's episode, I'm going to introduce to you the paintings of mine that were accepted into the Artist Archives NewNow exhibition. Every 2 years, the Artist Archives puts on a very competitive art exhibition that I sometimes get into and sometimes I don't get into, but this year, luckily, I got in, 2 pieces got accepted. And normally it is at the Tri-C Gallery East, which is in Cleveland, Ohio. And it's a big, beautiful gallery, and, there's room for lots of art and lots of space and lots of, it has a really nice opening reception. They always have the best food. This year, sadly, thanks to COVID, it is all virtual, which is one of the awesomes and the awfuls is that if it's virtual, everybody, everywhere can see it. And the whole show actually is going to go online probably, tomorrow or the day after, where you can see the whole show. And right after this show, right after Living Figuratively today, at 7 o'clock, they're having a Zoom opening reception, which you can still register for. Go on my website and on my Facebook page too, there's links where you can register for it so that you can see the award ceremony and hear from Juror Sheridan from the Ohio Arts Council and see what she's chosen for, for the show and what she's chosen for the awards. So I hope you will tune into that. And since the show is virtual, the 2 paintings of mine that were accepted into the show are right here in my home and studio, in Barb Hartley's home and studio office. So let's head on over and I will show them to you right now. The 2 paintings of mine that were accepted into the NewNow 2021 are Venus, She's Got It, and Trust Women. And both of them, I have censored them for the Facebook censors with little post-its because I'm playing it safe. But I would love to tell you all about them. And when you see them online as part of the whole show, they will not be censored. They'll be in their entirety and in their glory. The first painting, Venus, She's Got It, is from they're both from my Goddess Project series. And Venus, She's Got It is actually the very first painting that I did for the Goddess Project. And, it's Venus who's like your classic first goddess that you ever think of is Venus. As soon as I started thinking about Venus, this song kept running through my head. If we listen real hard, maybe we can hear it. She's got it. And that's how the painting got the title. It's the goddess on the mountaintop, and you'll thank me for not singing it to you. The goddess on the mountaintop, burning like a silver flame, the summit of beauty and love, and Venus was her name. She's got it. Venus, she's got it. So for my Venus, I took cues from the song. And also the fact that the group that did the song was called The Shocking Blue, and the front singer is Mariska Veresh, who I love that, I love the song, and she did a fabulous job singing it. So I used the Shocking Blue background. I also have other details from the song. I've got the flame, Venus with the flame, and I've got the planet Venus up there behind her. In fact, that's one of my hallmark things for the other Venuses that I've painted. I don't know if you guys remember Venus Divine Low arms herself, she's also got the Venus planet behind her. And another one of my Venus paintings, they've all got the planet Venus behind her. I took a cue from Botticelli's Venus with the braids, and I used my model's braids and I augmented them and, you know, gave them a sort of a stylistic swirliness to it. As I was researching about Venus, I discovered that she was a little bit more in, you know, Greek mythology, a little bit more than just the pale, fleshy, sensual woman lounging around on couches that you always see in the Renaissance paintings. Venus was actually the goddess of peace, and she tempered the violence and macho testosterone of Mars, who was the god of war. Like, they were kind of counterpart god and goddess. And so I saw, actually, my interpretation of Venus, I saw Venus as more of a Prometheus character, where she's bringing her flame to the world, offering it to the mortals. Now, Prometheus, in case you don't remember, Prometheus is the god who, or the demigod, who took fire from the gods, from Zeus and all the people up there, and brought it down to the earth to give it to the mortals. So Zeus and the gods up there did not like that, and they punished Prometheus for his act of benevolence there. They punished him by strapping him to a mountaintop to have his liver eaten by the vultures every single day. And because he was immortal, his liver grew back every day, and the vultures kept eating it over and over and over again for all of eternity. There's a painting, this painting is by Rubens, and it's in the Metropolitan, and it's a magnificent, gigantic piece that you really have to see in person. But I saw Venus as a Prometheus character and cast her as a black woman because historically, tragically, black women have given this gift of fire to the earth. So whether it's the gift of love, creativity, the fire of nurturing, the fire of to fight for justice, the fire to illuminate the path for generations to come, that gift of fire they've been giving to the earth has been undervalued, unappreciated, and, you know, and destroyed. But the fire itself has never been extinguished. And so that's how I decided to cast my beautiful Venus, and as the song says, black as the dark night, as this benevolent, kind, unappreciated, but continues to be good character in mythology. So one of her expression, I tried to make her expression one with a little bit more hope and promise and, you know, positive look to the future, which when I did this painting, it was 2 years ago, and even just very, very recently, many strides have been made, and we now have a black woman as a vice president, Kamala Harris, and many other black women most recently have come into the spotlight for fighting for justice and for doing wonderful things. And I mean, we've got Michelle Obama, we've got Stacey Abrams, most recently Stacey Plaskett, who, you know, made some amazing speeches at the trials that just happened. And then we've also got the wonderful Amanda Gorman, who spoke at the inauguration. I'm cautiously optimistic that this is a very hopeful painting. One of the other things to notice about this painting, which is kind of a subtle second reading, is Venus's view of the world here. So if you look closely, her view of the world is what we, that have traditionally seen the European map of the world and the globe, see as upside down, because Africa is on top. And the reason that, I'm not sure why we see the world where, you know, normally where Europe and the United States are up on top and Africa and Asia are on the bottom, but it's because it was the European map makers that felt that Europe was more important, so Europe got to be on the top. But it doesn't make any sense because the universe is just a jumble of balls floating around. There's no top, there's no bottom. But it's just the way that it's been artistically represented, which is why I use my artistic voice to re-represent things. And I'm really psyched that this painting got into the show. I wish it was actually physically at the show, but at least we get to look at it here. So my other painting that was accepted to the show is also a Goddess Project painting. This one is called Trust Women. And I was inspired by Michelangelo's David, which is the one where he's got the slingshot over his shoulder, and it's a classic underdog story. So the David and Goliath story, David is a small boy who uses a slingshot to kill the giant that has been terrorizing the city. And he's a hero, and Goliath falls on the ground. David lops off his head, you know, it's like with the greatest of ease. And it's your classic underdog story. I have reimagined the classic underdog story as a woman being the underdog, and the giant that she's taking down is the patriarchy that would limit her healthcare options and that would limit her decision-making powers. Yes, this is a pro-choice painting. So it's called Trust Women. And some of the things that you see in this painting are my pro-choice activism that I have done from time to time, you know, mostly during pre-COVID times, where I would go to the Ohio State House, which is down in Columbus, and addressed many of the anti-feminist, anti-choice legislation that is always looming on the table in Ohio because we're Ohio. Ohio's a red state. So like things like the heartbeat bill and defunding Planned Parenthood and gag rules on healthcare workers, on reproductive healthcare workers, are always being put forth to the Congress. And so I take my pro-choice activism. I use the hanger, which is a symbol of, you know, back alley abortions from the olden, you know, the bad old days before Roe v. Wade. And what I did with my hangers that I hang on the fence posts of the State House, I put messages on them, and I laminated the messages so that they would withstand the weather. And I made them bright pink so people would see them. And I did things like I spoke to the medical aspect of pro-choice, which is you'll never stop abortions, just the safe ones. I spoke to the constitutional aspect of it, where pro-freedom, pro-liberty, pro-choice. I spoke to the empathy aspect of it. Someone you love has been helped by Planned Parenthood, and I think that that is true. Someone you love has been helped by Planned Parenthood. I even reached across the aisle and mentioned, you know, the Ayn Rand, who I have a interesting love-hate relationship with, and I might even do a whole episode about her, though I had to paint some paintings that are inspired by whatever, by that philosophy. But Ayn Rand was pro-choice. So, you know, you have that, all the libertarians. And look it up, she was. So I peppered into my painting, I peppered some of these hangers into the background. I have them hooking onto the flag. And basically, it's a pro-choice painting. And while I have you here, I want to just give you one of my little perspective on the whole pro-choice issue. Whether you agree with me and you can take this out and maybe pass it along to somebody else, or whether you disagree with me and maybe just want to sit and just listen and just even think about it. Don't even have to respond. There's this concept of bodily autonomy in our legal system, where there's no court in the land that can force you to donate a kidney or donate blood or donate tissue for research or transplant purposes, even though people will die without them, because people die waiting for transplants all the time. There's no court in the land that can force your dead body to donate kidneys, livers, lungs, tissue, all those things. There's actually 58 different parts of your dead body that can be donated to help or save 58 different people. And you don't need it anymore. And yet, there is no court in the land, there's no law in the land that can force you, your dead body that you don't need anymore, to donate those organs. And yet, the law can force into conscription a live woman's body for the next 9 months, and then for her the rest of her lifetime, whether she gives up the baby for adoption or not. It's a lifetime. And women can be forced to continue to give birth in a land where there is no reproductive freedom. So if you consider that a corpse has more rights to bodily autonomy than a living woman, I hope that that maybe puts it into a different perspective. I always say I am pro-abortion, just like I'm pro-mastectomy, I'm pro-gallbladder surgery, I'm pro-amputation, I'm pro having a wart removed. I would prefer not to have any of those procedures, but if I need one, I want to be able to have it. I want it to be available to me, and if you need one, I want it to be available for you. And so basically that is what I'm saying with my pro-choice painting over here. One of the interesting things, this painting was done during the early middle lockdown, like back in March, April. As time wore on and we got into the election season in November, it took on different meanings, and her expression took on different meanings. She's looking, there's an element to it where she's looking down at the flag, whether it's, what has become of the democracy here? Is she looking at it with fear, with sort of a sadness that, what has become of our democracy and what has become of America? At the same time, maybe she's also looking at it with respect and reverence, like realizing the weight of our responsibility to keep democracy going, that it's a constant work in progress, that it's not free. Freedom isn't free, that the old saying. So it's taken on multiple meanings, from the original pro-choice. And I'm hoping that it's some of these concepts that juror Kat Sheridan noticed when she accepted both these paintings into the show. I don't know how much she knew about them ahead of time, and I know I've blogged about about the Venus painting. I have not blogged about Trust Women, and I'm not sure whether I even talked about it on Living Figuratively before or after they were accepted. But anyway, thank you for joining me tonight. And be sure to join into the 7 o'clock Zoom virtual opening reception for the NewNow, which all of the information, like I said, it's on my website. And I'll be there with my glass of wine and my cheese, and you can watch the whole thing, and nobody needs to see you. You can just hang out and hear the jurors talk and see what a Zoom opening reception is like, which is kind of cool. Also, come back next week, same bad time, same bad channel. Next week, I will be introducing to you 2 more Goddess Project paintings that have yet to ever be shown anywhere. I'm introducing them to you on the eve of my transporting them down to Granville, Ohio, which is in central Ohio, for the Bring Do Art Show, which will actually, I'll go down there and cover that for Living Figuratively a couple weeks later. The 2 paintings are Persephone Kept and Persephone Left, and I will tell you all about them, but that'll be next week. So next week, same bad time, same bad channel, February 25th, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all come back now, you hear? Meow.